Hi guys, it's Scott Kellacher here, just looking to answer some of your questions. Obviously been in the job a year now, I don't know where the time's gone, but more than happy to answer some of the questions and hopefully I can give you good answers, so we'll make a start. Okay, the first question's from Dylan Clark. Alright, how did you feel when you got the club to stay in League One and out of administration? Yeah, I was very proud. It was a real proud moment, I knew what was at stake, if we didn't stay in the league, and I didn't know how the future would be for us all if we went down to League Two, if I'm being honest with you. We've been quite proud of being full-time for so many years, so it was important that we tried to sort of keep that, So, no, listen, it was a real proud moment, and I knew how hard everybody had worked to sort of make sure we tried to stay in the league, and we finally got our just rewards with a couple of games to go, so it was emotional, but no, I was really, really proud, if I'm being honest with you. On to the next question. Robert Mearns, did you ever envision yourself becoming Cali manager while at school? Yeah, one day I always thought it would be good to manage a club. I went off and I went down to Glasgow to play football for a few years, and then I came back up when I was here as a player. But I did always want to get into coaching. Luckily enough for me, I managed to get into coaching at a young age, working in the community and then working my way through the youth, and I always did feel that one day I'd love to be a manager. Being a manager of the local club, was always something I wanted to do, so getting the chance to sort of do that now is it's really enjoyable. It's hard going, but I must admit I love every minute of it, and the backing I've had from the fans has been incredible. Everybody getting behind myself and the players and that sort of things, but the support I've been shown, I don't know if it helps that I'm a local boy, and I'm one of their own type thing, but listen, I loved every minute, and the fans show their support every week in terms of getting behind me, so I can't thank them enough. On to Adam Bodie now. What was your first thought when you got told you were going to become Inverness Thistle head coach? My first thought was probably determination in my head. I'm thinking to myself, right, I was never one for putting myself forward to become manager. It just sort of happened with the circumstances, but when I knew the situation the club was in, I thought to myself, right, I'm going to be determined to try and work as hard as I can to make sure we stay in this league, and we managed to do it, as I've already touched on. So no, listen, it was we need to really sort of get together, and that's when we sort of try to create that togetherness with the fans and the staff and the players and everything, and we all played a massive part, there was no getting away from that. But no, I did have in my head when I got offered a job, I went away and I had a right good think about, right, what do I need to do to try and get the best out of everybody at the football club, and we all had to play our part, but I was determined more than ever, because I've experienced so many good times at the club, and I want to try and get that back, and I know what it takes to get that. So yeah, I was very determined, and that's what I thought at the time, if I'm being honest with you. Adam. Stuart Ibbotson, okay. What was it like to be part of the 2015 Scottish Cup winning side? I think probably the best word to describe it would be phenomenal. To think of a club our size to go on and win the Scottish Cup is nothing short of incredible, if I'm being really honest with you. Did I ever think it would happen in our short history? I think after 25 years, Inverness Thistle winning a Scottish Cup, in a League Cup, playing in Europe, and some memorable times in terms of Super Cali going ballistic along the way. So no, listen, it's been a brilliant journey. There's been so many good moments that the club's had throughout, but the Scottish Cup, it was quite incredible, and the fans that we took down that day and just everything that went with it, it lives with you forever, myself, and I'm sure it will for all the fans. So yeah, it was really special being part of it, and it'll live with me forever as well. Kieran Strachan, what player do you think you've had the biggest impact on in terms of on and off the park during a turbulent year? I would probably go with Louis Longstaff, if I'm being honest with you. I think Louis was probably finding it quite hard at the time. He was lacking in a bit of confidence and that sort of things, and obviously when I took the job on, I just wanted to try and get the best out of Louis. So I just told him to go and play football, go and enjoy himself, because at the end of the day, that's why we're all here, to enjoy it. The fans come, they want to see players excite them. Louis is one of those players. So it was important to try and get Louis' confidence up, and he did that. So I just try to help him in terms of go and express yourself. He's one of these sort of players that you have to go and let play, you know. So I would like to probably say, yeah, Louis was probably, I'm hoping I had a big influence on him in terms of getting his confidence back and getting to play football again and enjoy it. So yeah, I'd probably go with Louis Longstaff on that one. From Ali, Scott's worked under a few managers. What aspects has he taken from different managers he worked under, and who's been the biggest influence on him? I definitely would have to say it's been brilliant working under so many managers. I've learned so much from so many of them, and I've taken little bits from them all, if I'm being honest with you. But I definitely have to put down John Hughes. I sort of came in as first team coach with Terry, but then I really got made to do a lot more under John Hughes, and he sort of appreciated what I was like as a coach in terms of what I could bring to the training ground. And I think he really opened up my eyes in terms of how the game should be played and little things, how you sort of set up teams and formations, and how you can find extra man on the pitch with overloads and that sort of things, you know. So I would definitely say, without a doubt, John Hughes is probably my biggest influence, but I did take a lot from other managers in terms of maybe how to motivate the team. I thought Terry Butcher was fantastic in terms of, I wanted to kick the door down and go out and play. You know, his team talks and that, they really sort of got you going, and you want to run through a brick wall. And there's a lot of other managers in there as well, you know, that I learned so much from. So yeah, listen, I've been very fortunate, I've been very lucky, and I appreciate that I have worked under a lot of managers, and I've learned a lot from them all. But definitely John Hughes, without a doubt, has probably been the biggest influence on me in terms of managerial side of it. Cyan Buchan now, having been around the stadium for so long, what did it mean to get this job, and what has been the best moment so far in year one for you? Yeah, it meant everything to me. You know, I always want to try and do the job. I've progressed through the community, the youth, you know, all the age groups, in under 18s, 19s, reserves, first team coach. So it's been great for me, because I always talk about young players coming through the system, you know, progressing into the first team. Like we've got Cal McLeod at the moment, last year it was Keith Bray and that sort of things. I feel I'm a bit like that as well, if I'm being honest with you, but in the coaching sense. So I'd say I'm very lucky, because I've got to experience all the age groups, and I think that's why I really want the younger ones to do so well. I'm trying to push them as hard as I can, because I've come through the system as well. And yeah, it's been just so memorable this whole year for me. I've learned so much, and it's a proud moment for me, for my family, you know, to get the opportunity first and foremost, you know. So listen, I'd like to thank obviously Alan and Charlie and Graham for that, giving me the opportunity, putting that bit of faith in me to go and do the job, and I'll make sure I can, and make sure I don't let them down along with the fans. And I think that's why I have that drive to try and do the best I can for the club and for the fans, you know. So no, it's been a brilliant year, even the wee setbacks along the way, and there has been, but probably the most memorable moment was when I knew that we were safe. I think that's probably the first night I've had a decent night's sleep, if I'm being honest with you. I went up the road and I actually just sat all night and just stared at the wall. I was that happy, and it was just a great achievement to know that we were safe, because we knew how hard a year it was going to be. We knew we were going to have setbacks along the way, and it was just great to know that all the hard work had sort of gone in, you know. So no, I was over the moon with that, you know. To Keir Crawford, what advice would you give any young players trying to make it into your first team squad? What we say to them all is really work hard. Work as hard as you possibly can. Do extra if you get the opportunity to do it, but you can do a lot by yourself as well, you know. So yeah, no, listen, just that's probably the best bit of advice. Work hard on all the things that you can. If you've got a weakness, try and make that better if you can as well, you know, and hopefully that'll stand you in good stead going forward. It's what we ask the first team players, to work as hard as they can. And no, I'd definitely say that's probably the best bit of advice. Work as hard as you possibly can. Daniel Bryan, I'm curious what personal success looks like for you through your eyes. Well, personal success for me so far at the football club was keeping the club in this league last year. obviously we want to drive the club forward now, you know, and it's important that we're up there at the end of the season and we're challenging because, listen, I'm not going to beat about the bush. We want to go and win the league. There's no question of that. You know, I'd be daft if I sat here and said we didn't. You know, I think that's got to be our aim. You've got to go and look to win every single game, but I think you've got to try and, if you're in a league, you've got to go and try and win it. There's no question of that. So that's how success will look through my eyes if we win the league. There's no question of that. What would you consider a successful season for the club? Yeah, I think it would be a successful season really if we look to go and win the league. You know, I think that's got to be our mindset. It's got to be what we're looking to strive to do. So I'll be definitely trying to do that as best I can. There's no question of that. What are your long-term goals as the gaffer of ICT? Yeah, I think the long-term goals will be that, to try and get ourselves back through the leagues. You know, we'll be doing everything we can to make sure we can try and do that. We know it's not going to be, we're not going to get it all our own way. We know it's going to be hard going, as I said, just like the last year. We're probably going to have a few setbacks on the way, but I feel we're making small steps in the right direction. So it's important that we sort of keep going with that as well. And what is your vision for the club? Yeah, my vision for the club, I think it's a collective vision as well, that we really need to strive to get back into the Premier League one day. You know, as I say, we're making small steps in the right direction, but I think that's what every club and every league looks to aim for, to try and get through the leagues and to try and play in the Premier League. We've been there, we've experienced it. It's we've had some great times in terms out there, full houses against Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, and even the derbies as well. You know, they've been great times at the football club. So yeah, no, listen, I think that's got to be the vision, and I think I'm very fortunate. I've been coming up near 22 years now, coming up for that I've been at the football club. So I've experienced a lot of highs, I've experienced a lot of lows, but the highs certainly outdo the lows. There's no question of that, and I've been very fortunate to be a part of that. So we'll keep the head down, we'll keep working away, you know, and I want to say thanks for all your support for over the last year. You know, on behalf of myself, the staff, the players, everything. You know, we need you more than ever. You know, we need you every week. Even if it's not going our way, it's important that you still keep getting behind the players, because, listen, we're not going to be great every week. I appreciate that. You know, we'll try our best to be, but if we can, we'll look to work as hard as we can, and we just keep needing the fans getting back behind the whole club like they have been, and hopefully we can keep going in the right direction. So, for me, thanks very much, and I appreciate all your support. Thank you.